What's going on, NEM crew? Welcome back to another video. Yeah, feels good. I know it's been a while, but today we're jumping right in and we're starting with a how-to video on how to rebuild your calipers. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, so like I said, we're going to be rebuilding some calipers today. These are part of the braking system on your car. If you don't know what these are, then you probably shouldn't have clicked on this video and maybe it was an accident, but maybe you want to just watch to get a little bit more information on how these work. So these are actually off of a Nissan 300zx Z32 twin turbo. Now, I actually don't have that car. If you guys follow the channel, I don't have that car, but these are going to be going on the Datsun. But I don't know the condition of these calipers. I know it was from a JDM car. That's pretty much it. I could technically test the caliper to see if it works, but just for peace of mind, we're going to go through and rebuild it. I figured this would be a great opportunity to bring you guys along and show you the process. Now, these have the hardware included, meaning the pads, the retainers, the pins, the clips. So we're gonna go ahead and take these off. Now, unfortunately, in this video, I'm not gonna be showing you the process of actually removing the caliper from the car, just because, like I said, I don't have the car. These are how I got these calipers. So we're gonna just go ahead and start by removing a few things, and then we'll get actually into the caliper disassembly. Should be fun. First step in rebuilding calipers. Put some music on. So you know we got to get some tunes going. Commence montage / voiceover now.
Alright guys, now that you got your favorite playlist on, you're jamming, you're rocking out, it's time to start disassembling these calipers. We're going to take the brackets off on the back. This is actually a 12 mil. The camera wouldn't focus, but hey, trust me on it, it's a 12 mil. Once these brackets are off, we're going to start taking the hardware off, which is the clips, the retainers, the slider pins, as well as the pads. And then we can start actually moving into the disassembly of the calipers themselves. Into the disassembly, I noticed that these pads are definitely shot. Though they have a lot of life on them, they do seem to be falling apart. I don't know what those circles were. I've never seen them before being a part of a pad, but those are definitely not going back on the car. They're going to have to be replaced. We're going to move on to taking these dust boot clips or dust boot retainers off. If you have a small pick like I'm using here or a small flathead, you can take them off. There's not that much force required to remove them, and then you can take the dust boot off. Just note, if you are keeping those dust boots and reusing them, to be very careful that you don't tear or rip them as you're taking these clips off. Once the retainer clips and dust boots are removed, we're then going to remove the pistons. Now here we're going to use some compressed air and a block of wood. On this first one, I didn't really do it 100%. The one piston came out fine, but the other one got stuck in place, and I had to use a little bit of brute force using a long screwdriver to pry the piston out of place. Now the better way to do this is actually use different sizes of blocks of wood or whatever you have available, just so the pistons come out evenly. That way you're not stuck with one piston coming out and the other one stuck in place. Now the best way to do this is actually to leave the bleeder in place, and you'll use the spot where the brake line goes in to put the compressed air. That way it pressurizes the system and pushes the pistons out. Once the pistons are removed, we're then going to take the seal in the cylinder bore out. You can use that same pick or flathead screwdriver just to pry them out of place. Once these seals are removed, we're then going to actually split the caliper. Now this is where most rebuilds actually stop. So if you don't have the seals that go in between the calipers here, which I'll show you in a second, then this is where your rebuild would technically stop, and you just put everything back together with new seals, new boots, and new grease. Since we do have those small seals in these two spots here, we're going to move forward with the caliper rebuild. At this point, everything is disassembled, and we're just going to give everything a quick cleanup with brake clean, and then we can move on to the reassembly of the calipers. Alright guys, I got everything laid out here to start putting the calipers back together. One thing you'll notice is the Nissan writing on the calipers have been removed. I actually sent it to a machine shop, got all that cleaned up, just because I'm going for a cleaner look with these calipers once we put them back together and have them painted. So we're going to start the reassembly process. I have all of the pieces that was included in the rebuild kit, as well as the seals that are going to be required because we separated the calipers. So they're the seals that go in these two spots here. So let's just jump right in, and we're going to get the calipers as far as we can rebuilt without putting all the little hardware and things like that back in, because these things still have to get painted. So we're going to pretty much have the calipers ready to go except all of the hardware. Let's get right into it. Alright, now that everything's clean, we're moving on to the reassembly. We're going to get some of this red grease that comes in the kit from Nissan. You want to put some of that grease on the actual seal and the spot where the seal sits, and then you'll just fish the seal in place, just being cautious that you don't cut the seal at all. Now, if you don't have this red grease because you didn't buy the Nissan kit, you bought an aftermarket kit, whatever the case may be, you could use a little bit of multi-purpose grease or even brake fluid, the same type of brake fluid that you're going to be using in the system once everything's rebuilt. Then we're going to put the actual pistons in. Now this, you want to be cautious that you don't actually pinch the seal and cause damage to the seal. So you kind of want to be a little bit cautious when pushing these in. Go as slow as possible. If it's not going in, take your time and don't rush it. Once the pistons are in, we're going to coat the little slot or the little ridge in grease, as well as fill the dust boot with grease. You'll put the dust boot on, and then it helps to push down on the actual piston itself. You'll see in a second here, just to allow it to get pushed on the final resting place. So we're pushing down, put some tension on the actual boot itself, but it allows you to push it on the spot where it seats a little bit easier. Once that's done, it's as simple as putting the retaining clips on. Now these aren't too difficult to put on. You just spread them apart. If you have a little bit of issues like I'm having here, you can use a flathead screwdriver just to help you out. With the seals, pistons, and dust boots installed, it's now time to wrap up this caliper rebuild by putting in the seals so we can mate the two pieces of the caliper back together. Now these seals, these could be seals or O-rings. I believe their proper term is actually O-rings. Once these O-rings are installed, we can then, like I said, put the two pieces of the caliper back together using the 4 bolts that we removed earlier in this video, and then we'll just tighten those down. I actually used an impact gun for this. That's probably not the most ideal situation. You probably want to just take your time and go by hand. I actually reduced the pressure of the compressor as well as the gun, just to ensure that I wasn't going to over tighten or damage the threads when installing these calipers or these bolts. Now that these calipers are back together, the only thing that's left to do is to put your hardware back on, your pads, your bracket on the back, and you can mount them to the car. Alright guys, that's the procedure to rebuild your calipers. Thanks for watching. These will be going on the Datsun soon, so keep your eyes peeled for the Datsun build videos coming up, hopefully very, very, very soon. Peace out, and as always, stay classy, crew.